In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the deBridge finance application to farm this airdrop. Last week, we had the announcement of the wormhole airdrop, which caught some people off guard. It was kind of unexpected. And now there's a bunch of other interoperability or bridge protocols that have become the new targets of airdrop farmers. And deBridge finance is one of those. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how you can qualify for this airdrop. And then later this week, I'm going to talk about a few other protocols like Jumper and potentially Hyperlane. On this channel, I've already talked about Orbiter, I've talked about Al2, and a few other ones, Layer 0 I've talked about, but I've never talked about deBridge, so let's get into it here. Now, the basic premise of this is pretty much the same as any other bridge you've ever used. You select which network you're sending tokens from, and you can actually send from Solana as well, and then which network you want to send to. And you can also choose to swap between different tokens as a part of that. So I could send ETH from Optimism and have that come out on Polygon as Matic tokens or whatever different combinations you want to do. Now, one thing I'll say is that a cost-efficient way to do this right now is to route a lot of transactions through the Optimism network because they currently have fee rebates on for swaps to and from Optimism. Now, I think transfers from Base, Polygon, maybe Binance Smart Chain are going to be some of the cheaper ones. Linea, Solana, Ethereum mainnet, of course, that's going to be more expensive. Arbitrum usually is actually a little bit more expensive as well. So I've got a bunch of wrapped ETH on Polygon. So let's go ahead and bridge it to Optimism. But instead of having it come out the other end as ETH, I'm going to swap it into OP or Optimism tokens at the same time. So I'll select the amount. I'm just going to send the maximum that I can, which is all this ETH on Polygon. And then it will tell me how much I'm going to get on the other end. So I'm sending $151.43 worth of ETH, and I'm getting a cost rebate because of this special program on for Optimism. And then on the other end, I'm getting $151.08 worth of OP tokens. So the slippage here is pretty reasonable, and this is not really an expensive transaction. So let's go ahead and approve this, open it up in the wallet, switch the network, and I'm going to approve the token for this time only. So now that the token is approved, I can go ahead and actually make this swap. So let's confirm the transaction in the wallet. And you can see the total cost for this is 1 cent in gas fees on the Polygon network, and then they charge 0.5 Matic. But there's going to be a cost rebate of OP tokens in 2 weeks, I think. So let's go ahead and confirm this transaction. 43 cents in total to make this swap, not bad. And these are the sunk costs of farming bridging or interoperability protocols like this. You have to pay a few cents to a few dollars every time you send assets to and from different chains, but the goal is that we're going to 10x or even 100x the amount that we spend in transaction fees when we actually get a drop. So that is how the bridge transactions work. I think you get the general idea, but now let's talk about optimal strategy here. Realistically, when it boils down to it, I think they're probably going to have some sort of multipliers or bonuses or maybe even qualifiers for people that transact on different chains. And they don't actually have that many options here, which in some ways is a hindrance, but it also makes it a little bit easier for you because you only have to focus on, looks like about 10 different networks. Now, personally, I just skip the Ethereum mainnet because the transaction fees would be insane. But for all of these different L2s and Solana as well, if you're willing to take that extra hurdle, these are reasonable targets. And so what I would recommend is trying to bridge at least once between each different network. The more that you can hit, the better. And if you hit like 5 out of 10, that's better than just 2 out of 10. Obviously, if you hit all of them, that's going to be the best. And then on top of that, if you can make swaps between different tokens as well, that just establishes more of a diverse transaction history. And then finally, of course, the more volume that you're doing in terms of the value of the transactions, the better off you'll probably be. So if I'm swapping 1 ETH, that's going to be worth a lot more than if I'm swapping 0.01 ETH. And if you take all of those factors into consideration and then you do it on an ongoing basis between now and when they eventually drop the token, then you'll probably get a pretty decent allocation. And the more often that you can come back on a weekly or a monthly basis, it will probably help you as well. Now, in terms of how far away this airdrop actually is, it looks like they're going to have a point system like pretty much every other app or protocol out there. They are not yet launched though. And so this makes deBridge Finance a decent airdrop target because you still have a chance. It's not actually that close to the airdrop that you might think that the snapshot has already been taken. For example, because they haven't even launched their point system yet. And so now that we've moved on from Wormhole, I don't really recommend using that protocol unless you actually like it. But deBridge Finance and some of the other ones that I'll talk about later this week are now the new focus, like Jumper. That is one of my favorite ones for sure. So yeah, hopefully you found this little tutorial helpful, and let's keep farming these airdrops because I have a feeling that the next 4 to 6 months are going to be insane. This is really the time to make it.